Hi guys, it's Crystal with Design Bundles. Today we're going to talk all about heat presses and what you should consider before you purchase one. So let's go ahead and start off with the number one question that you should consider before you purchase your heat press. Are you going to be just a crafter? Are you somebody that's doing this as a craft, kind of like a hobby, or are you doing this for a business? If you guys are doing it as a craft, you may want to just consider purchasing something like the Cricut Easy Press. You're going to be able to sublimate with these as well as apply HTV and iron on. So this would be perfect if you are a crafter. Now, if you are a business, you may want to invest in one of these for quick, small projects so you're not having to heat this up. When it comes to the Cricut Easy Press versus a heat press, the heat press will take a lot longer to heat up. So if you're somebody that just makes something every once in a while, you may want to consider a Cricut Easy Press. Number one, they're super easy to store. You can simply, the way that I like to do it is I like to take my cord just like so, and then I kind of tuck it just like this, and then I store it away in a cabinet so I can actually get this all the way out of my way. So if you're just going to be making projects every once in a while, I definitely would recommend just investing into the Cricut Easy Press because a heat press is going to take up a lot of space. So something else that you need to consider when it comes to the heat press is how much foot space is this going to take? This takes height as well as, a lot of room. So do you have counter space to store something like this? This is not something that you can really just move around. These are super, super heavy. So it's not something that you can just, put in the closet and bring out as you need it. So I definitely recommend if you're a crafter and you're only using it every once in a while, definitely checking these out because like I said, you can sublimate as well as apply HTV vinyl. Now, even if you are a crafter or you guys are starting a business and you're only looking at a heat press, the things to consider are you looking for a swing away? Are you looking for something that's like a clamshell? I'll show a picture here. I don't have one on hand. Are you looking for something that's more automatic? Do you want it to pop open automatically? Things like that. Now, heat presses do come in different sizes as well. They do have crafting ones on the market like so. So there is smaller ones that have a smaller footprint. They are still heavy. You do need them on a counter. They do need a designated plug-in that's kind of by itself. So definitely keep those in mind. But they do make them smaller for crafting. Or say, for example, I am a business, but the only thing that I'm doing is cell phone cases or maybe some small little, socks and things like that. So lots of different things. So say, for example, if I'm just doing small projects, you may just want a small heat press. So you may want to just get the crafting size. Now, if you're a business and you're going to be doing adult t-shirts, I highly recommend at least getting a 15 by 15. You can go way up there. They make really huge presses in the industry because you may be doing full, say for example, full sublimation bleeds all the way across a t-shirt. So that's another thing to, think about. What are you doing? So you may decide, okay, I've got a little craft heat press, but one day I want to press bigger socks and it's not going to fit all the way in there. So much of it's going to hang out. So, for example, too, with the smaller craft presses, you can do onesies and things like that. But whenever it comes time to doing the adult t-shirts, it does make it a lot harder. You'll have to press them in two different motions, where just going straight into a 15 by 15, you can still do onesies, and all you would simply need is something like a pressing pillow, which look like this. So say, for example, I was doing a onesie, I can slide this right inside, and this is going to help to avoid those seams. So whenever I put the t-shirt inside and I go to press this down, it's going to avoid those seams. Everything's just going to kind of sink into these pressing pillows. So I do recommend that if you're going to be getting a heat press that's a 15 by 15, for example, and you're going to be pressing something like a baby onesie, you want to invest into a couple pressing pillows as well as pressing pads. So if you decide to go for a pressing pad, they look like this. You can usually get them in a complete pack where it comes with all the different sizes, including the ones that's for sleeves, the bigger ones, smaller ones. These would be great for the pockets. Something like this will lift up the pocket area so you can add like a monogram or a logo to that as well. You may want to purchase something like this right away so you have it on hand. Now, something else to look for when you're looking for a heat press, some of them are even an 8-in-1, which means that you can take them apart. So say, for example, something like this, You could take it apart and it would actually become a mug press or a hat press, all sorts of different things. So you may want to invest in something like that to where you have all of your presses in one and you don't have all these different products that you're having to find counter space for. Now, for example, my press, the bottom platen will come off, so I can actually come under here and I can unscrew this, and then this one will pop right on. So I can actually get different size platens for it. So for example, when I do my onesies, I can actually just pop it right on. I can do, pockets, socks, cell phone cases, if I wanted to have it like that as well. So that's something else to consider in looking for a heat press. Look to see, does it have interchangeable platens or not? When it comes to the swing away as well as the clamshell, sometimes for a clamshell, it's a lot harder to press things like plaques, so like the big thick wood. It's really hard once you go to shut it. It wants to kind of teeter a little bit and it's hard to shut. Where something like this, you're going straight down and not at an angle. So that's something else to consider as well whenever you're looking for your heat press. You want to look to say, okay, is it going to hold what I'm looking for? What kind of bottom? Does it have a cushion on it? Can we add these little, for example, this one right here, I'm able to add a cover right on top of it. Things that you want to look into and grab right away, or maybe some Teflon sheets, parchment paper, and things like that. When you're looking for your heat press, you want to consider, is it going to be perfect for, sublimation if that's what you're doing? Is it going to be perfect for your HTV? Is it going to cover both things? Like I said, enclose properly on those items that you're actually pressing. If you're pressing something like the big blankets, you may want to get the 16, I believe it's like 16 by 20, because some of those items are a lot bigger. It's a lot harder to press something twice. So if you're going to be doing that all the time, now if it's a 1 or 2 time press, then you don't want to get the bigger one. You want to work with it and just press half and half. But if it's something that you're doing all the time, consider that from the beginning. What size is the biggest product that you're doing? So even though, say, for example, I'm doing a 5X t-shirt, I can still do it with my 15 by 15. But if I was going to do a full bleed adult t-shirt for sublimation, I can't do it with this. I would need a big industrial type heat press. So there's lots of different things to consider. Like I said, if you guys are a crafter, I definitely would go more towards, something that's more portable, not necessarily that you have to choose the Cricut brand per se. There's lots of different ones on the market, but I definitely would gear towards something that you could put away and store versus something that's huge and that you have to store on your counter. You need a designated plug-in. You need a designated counter space. Now, when it comes to business-wise, like I said, definitely do your research. Look into the reviews and all of that stuff before you purchase it. How long has it been on the market? Has all the bugs been worked out and things like that. Also to consider, there is ones that take the air tank, so they have auto pressure and things like that. There's stuff like that to look at. There's ones that have, where you can set several different programs to one where it's, automatically you can set it and it's going to go straight to your sublimation settings. Some is going to automatically go to your heat press, for HTV and things like that. So lots of different things to consider when it comes to your heat presses. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I hope you guys found it helpful. If you did, please hit the like button down below and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.